Good morning on Monday, the 11th of November 2024. It's 8 a.m. in the Gambia and therefore Coffee Time on West Coast Radio. I am Peter Gomez and Coffee Time is brought to you in association with partners led by WAVE, the U.S. Poultry and Egg Council and Gam Food Trading, Easy Financial Services, Staff Africa Global, Bloomberg Africa Global Properties and the Gambia Experience.
The American Chicken Festival 2024 is here. Join us for the second annual celebration of all things chicken on Saturday, November 23rd at Hyperlink Village, Palmer Junction, Bethel Harding Highway from 12 p.m. to 12 a.m.
Hello, I am Chef Boja. I'm excited to return for the second annual Chicken Festival.
With over 40 international options from a diverse list of vendors. Music by DJ Wanjo, raffles, the variety show, and plenty of family-friendly fun.
From local to international, we got something for everyone.
Come see and taste the difference. Make it a date and don't be late.
And coming up over the next 1 hour, another polio vaccination campaign to get underway in the Gambia. German police build the capacity of the Gambia's police force. The Gambia Ports Authority to host the largest annual ports and logistics exhibition and conference in Africa. And why is the UDP unhappy with the Gambia ferry service? Well, Tombong Saidy, in charge of UDP Media and Communications, is my guest this morning. We also have all the news on the front pages of the Monday newspapers. Thanks for joining us.
Hello. If I own a business account with Trust Bank, how can I pay salaries to my employees to other banks?
Kindly send us an instruction through your corporate officer, that's your relationship manager. Send the instruction through a hard copy and we will kindly process for you. It is easy, it is simple. We will need few information from you. Each customer's name, the BBAN, and the bank it needs to be sent to. The BBAN should be complete and it should be in 18 digits. Please kindly forward this and then it will be processed the same day and all the funds will be credited in other banks as well. Thank you.
First up in the press review is Gambia Daily. VP Jallow calls for bold climate action to protect vulnerable communities. Minister recommits to transforming Gambia's prison system. Petroleum and Energy Ministry rewarded for successful implementation of $50,000 solar-powered water projects in Sifo and Wasadu. Agriculture Ministry launches digital platform for extension services. And visiting Nigerian Foreign Minister describes Gambia as a pivot in the dynamics of ECOWAS. The front cover of The Point reads this morning, Embassy in Berlin set to open doors to 16,000 Gambians in 2025. 30 years of justice. Tambadou reflects on establishment of ICTR, that's the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. Destination Gambia gains momentum at WTM. I was just helping them, claims businessman who was paid $1 million by KMC. Police probe alleged suicide involving Belgian national. British High Commission and families remember fallen World War heroes. And with Donald Trump taking back the White House following last week's US presidential election, The Point's editorial, or Good Morning Mr. President, harps on the importance of keeping US-Africa relations cordial. Now for Aya's front page. Shadow over KMC's contracts to Lang Karamo Suare. GID implements new measures amid surge in passport application. Police officer sues Gambia Police Force, claiming over $5 million. GFD advocates for disability inclusive land policy. Expert recommends rehabilitation centers for drug-induced psychosis in the Gambia, and consultant urges Gambia to include PWDs in climate decision. Let's take a look now at the front cover of The Voice. Environment Minister's $50 million suit against journalist Mane set for mention tomorrow. Economists on Gambia's potential transition from Basel I to Basel II on banking sector. Investigation reveals suicide as cause of Belgian's death at Bruford Heights. Ministry of Health to embark on countrywide polio vaccination campaign as 426,481 are targeted for vaccination. ACHBR 81st Ordinary Session ends and court orders remand of man at Mile 2 for alleged possession of over 4 kilograms of marijuana. Finally, the Standard. Lecturer says migrant workers' deals manifest government's failure to create jobs. Belgian found dead in suspected suicide in Brufut. Barrow wants to be succeeded by NPP member. 6 arrested for allegedly stealing used NAWEC transformers. Today is Remembrance Day. Investigations launched into death of ex-Senegalese finance minister. And in the US election, did the Democrats have the theory wrong? Online and on air, this is Coffee Time on West Coast Radio on Monday, the 11th of November, 2024. Opposition politician Tombong Saidy is my guest this morning. The UDP has just issued a statement describing as incompetent and horrible the services of one of the state-owned enterprises. Tombong will seek to justify his party's anger and propose a solution to the perceived problem. But we start with the wars in the Middle East. Arab and Muslim leaders are assembled in Saudi Arabia for an emergency summit of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation and Arab League to address Israel's conflicts in Gaza and Lebanon. The Gambia currently chairs the OIC, but President Barrow will not be in Saudi Arabia. The Foreign Minister, Dr. Mamadou Tangara, leads the Gambia's delegation, which also includes the Chief Executive Officer of the Gambia OIC Secretariat, the Special Advisor to the President, Mamadou Sabali, and the Gambia's Ambassador to Saudi Arabia, Omar Jibril Salah. The summit is organized by the Saudi Foreign Ministry, a year after a similar meeting condemned Israel's actions in Gaza. Leaders are expected to discuss the ongoing violence and regional developments, with calls for an end to the Gaza conflict and Israeli military actions. The 57-member OIC and 22-member Arab League include countries which recognize Israel and those firmly opposed to its regional integration. Last year's summit saw disagreement on measures like severing economic and diplomatic ties with Israel and disrupting its oil supplies. COP29 officially opens in Baku, Azerbaijan, later, and the conference is scheduled to end on November the 22nd. World leaders are expected in the first 3 days, and after that, the crunch negotiations will be carried on by their representatives, mostly environment ministers or other high-ranking officials. President Barrow will be represented by Vice President Jallow. The Minister of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources, Mrs. Rohi John Manjang, is already in Baku. The crucial question for the summit is climate finance. The Gambia and other developing countries want assurances that trillions will flow to them in the next decade to help them cut greenhouse gas emissions in line with the rapidly receding hope of limiting global heating to 1.5 Celsius above pre-industrial levels, and to enable them to cope with the increasingly evident extreme weather that rising temperatures are driving. Also today, we remember those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms. It's Remembrance Day. At the end of the First World War, the guns fell silent on the Western Front at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918. Nations therefore unite today across faiths, cultures, and backgrounds to remember the service and sacrifice of the armed forces community from the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth, which includes the Gambia. Today, we remind ourselves that the peace we enjoy is not the product of our endeavors, but rather the product of those who fought in the 2 world wars and in other conflicts. We also recall those who have lost loved ones and who suffer today in the ongoing conflicts in the Ukraine, the Middle East, and Sudan. The Gambia Ports Authority is gearing up for what is being described as the biggest ports and logistics event on the African continent. The GPA will host this prestigious three-day event from the 26th to the 28th of November. And joining me later will be the Managing Director of the GPA, Mr. Usman Jobate. But as you know, here on Coffee Time, we depend on adverts for our sustenance, and so let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk to jobs.
Looking for an establishment where value for money and unrivaled services with admirable turnaround time is guaranteed? The Port of Banjul is the perfect place for you. A vital gateway for trade offering connections to numerous global destinations. With improved infrastructure combined with a flexible tariff, the Port of Banjul remains a vital node in maritime trade. Along with its dedicated workforce, efficient service delivery, technology-inspired innovation, and an impressive record in handling all types of cargo, the Port of Banjul is also widely acknowledged as one of the safest ports on the continent with no history of piracy. As a major player in the region's maritime trade, accounting for 90% of all imports and exports, we are more than just a transit point, but a vital cog in the global trade sphere. Come experience a hassle-free fast customs clearance inspired by our simplified trade documentation procedures, safe and efficient cargo and vessel handling. The Port of Banjul offers prompt, reliable and value-for-money service, and customer satisfaction is guaranteed.
Welcome back, and if you'd like to advertise on Coffee Time with Peter Gomez, get in touch with Mr. Jibril Jassi. He's on 6990107, 7870107 and 924-2424. Tombong Saidy is my guest this morning, and he's with me in the studio. Good morning, Tombong.
Good morning, Peter, and good morning to all your listeners.
You had and viewers as well. We are now
exactly.
on YouTube and Facebook.
And your viewers on YouTube and Facebook.
Fantastic. Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah. I had a good weekend.
Yeah, but something about the government that is angering you.
Oh yeah, it's a lot.
We'll get to that later on, because joining me also on the telephone right now is Mr. Usman Jobate, Managing Director of Gambia Ports Authority. Good morning, Jobs. I call him Jobs.
Yes, good morning, Peter, and good morning to all your esteemed listeners and viewers.
Big event coming for the GPA and the country. And this is what is officially called the Intermodal Africa Exhibition and Conference, the 32nd edition. Tell us more about this trade event and what opportunities it presents.
Well, thank you. The Port Authority is collaborating with Transport Events Management. And this International Africa Exhibition and Conference is from the 26th to the 28th November at the Caraba Beach Hotel. And it brings together all the international shipping operators, logistics service providers, manufacturers, to gather and network and have the opportunity to directly interact with delegates. Alongside the exhibition is a conference attended by senior executives and mariners, engineers, cargo owners, shipping lines, and all the region's leading importers and exporters, freight forwarders and suppliers as well. They will discuss thematic topics ranging from the GHG and the reduction of CO2 and climate issues generally, and how port efficiency is being affected by the increasing presence of global operators. So these are the issues that they will talk about generally, and senior executives will attend, and high-level conference speakers will hold deliberations covering about 25 delegates, speakers, including, of course, GPA, Managing Director and the Harbour Master will also do some presentation during the conference. So it's about 25 themes are supposed to be discussed over the 3 days alongside the exhibition.
25 themes, but how many delegates are you expecting in Banjul in total?
We don't know the number, but the expectation from the organizers is that usually there are more than 200 delegates that attend this, because the major conference that brings all the operators in Africa. And the last was held, I believe, in Lomé. But usually it attracts nothing less than 200 delegates.
And coming so soon, Jobs, after the concession agreement with Al Bayrak, what will the Gambia, GPA per se, be exhibiting at this trade event?
Well, the private partner has taken one of the booths, and we'll try to showcase the efficiency improvements and the infrastructure improvement in terms of the capacity of the port that are expected to be done in Banjul over the 6 years, and also the development of the new deep sea port in Sanyang for a 30-year concession. So these are some of the things that will be showcased during this exhibition on the side of the Gambia, and in partner with the private investor who has already signed off on a concession to develop the port of Banjul.
And will this involve taking some of the delegates, if not all of them, physically to Banjul port and also the site for the deep sea port in Sanyang?
Well, yes, certainly. Well, the program includes site visits to the port in Banjul. I'm not sure about the site in Sanyang because we're still doing the scoping mission, so it will not be advisable. Maybe just to see the area and discover the location of the bay in Sanyang. Probably that would be okay, but the exact location of the port is still being scoped with the investor. But in Banjul, yes, of course, the delegates will come around on a port visit.
And finally, what's the overall benefit to the country, Jobs?
Well, Gambia has been known to be a destination of choice for both business and leisure. So these are some of the things that the conference will bring to the Gambia. If you set that against the stage of our Smiling Coast, I believe it will be a memorable event for those attending. They can network on issues within the maritime ecosystem and also discover the lush tourism attraction that makes the Gambia a destination of choice for business and leisure, as I said.
And I suppose you're working now on your keynote speech. Good luck with that. Jobs, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you, Peter. The pleasure is mine.
That's Usman Jobate. He's the Managing Director of the Gambia Ports Authority. Big event coming to the Gambia. Meanwhile, a 4-day polio vaccination campaign begins tomorrow to immunize an estimated 426,000 children under the age of 5. Esaba has a report.
Ahead of the national polio vaccination campaign by the Ministry of Health, with support from partners, the ministry last week held a day-long engagement with stakeholders at the Sadora Keraba Jawara International Conference Center to update them about the polio outbreak and to present to them the history of the fight against polio and their roles now to ensure a highly successful vaccination campaign. This engagement, attended by officials of the ministry, civil society organizations, development partners, health foundations, associations and the media, was following the declaration of polio virus outbreak in the country on the 11th of July 2024. Siddharth Fofana is the program manager for the expanded program on immunization.
After spending so much energy and effort into eradicating polio, we have seen factors emerging that are very friendly to the spread of comeback of this disease into our nation. And I don't think we should allow that. This is the problem we have at hand. There is no cause for panic. We just want to make sure that all the children under 5 years are given another 2 doses of polio virus so that this polio doesn't enter into this country. Because even the CDVD we found in this country is originated from somewhere, not in the country. So it's an indication that our clinics are being well attended by mothers.
The vaccination campaign, scheduled from the 12th to the 15th of this month, will target all children aged 0 to 59 months across the country. And the vaccination teams and social mobilizers will be moving house to house, schools, markets, health centers, and in strategic locations. Among the stakeholder organizations supporting the campaign is the World Health Organization, WHO, represented by Dr. Ifeanyi Levinus. He said the polio virus poses a significant global concern and thus identified their strategies in the fight. He also used the opportunity to assure Gambians about the safety of the vaccines.
The polio virus poses a very significant global concern. It is a disease with devastating consequences and places a high risk on those who remain unvaccinated, often leading to severe complications, including paralysis. The WHO and global partners have 4 strategies to control polio virus. One of them is acute flaccid paralysis surveillance. The other one is high coverage of routine immunization. The third is National Immunization Days, which we are about to do in the Gambia. We want to make it very categorically clear that the vaccines are safe, the vaccines are free, and they have been documented to be one of the most cost-effective means of preventing and protecting children from vaccine-preventable diseases.
UNICEF, another partner organization, was also represented at the engagement. Yankuba Saho is the nutrition specialist at UNICEF.
UNICEF is proud to be a key partner of the Ministry of Health in this effort and delighted for organizing this stakeholder engagement for the upcoming polio campaign. Today marks another milestone in our resolve to protect every child from all forms of deprivation and disability. Poliomyelitis is a debilitating condition that can be prevented by vaccination early in a child's life. Because it is preventable, we cannot afford not to act in a timely manner. The success of this campaign relies on the active engagement of stakeholders at every level. Together, we can ensure that every child is reached and protected against polio.
In 2020, the Africa Regional Certification Commission certified the WHO African region as wild polio-free after 4 years without a case, a historic milestone in the global polio eradication drive. However, there has been a setback recently due to a breakdown in intervention of the immunization campaign. The COVID-19 pandemic and man-made calamities greatly contributed to this setback. Reporting for West Coast Radio, I am Esaba.
And now here's Abubakar M. Jallow reporting on a mutually beneficial partnership between Gambia Police Force and its German counterpart.
The Gambia Police Force, in partnership with the German Police Support Team mission in the Gambia, trained 120 participants that completed various training programs from October to November 2024. The training is aimed at enhancing the capacity of the Gambia Police Force. The successful partnership between the German Police Support Team and Gambia Police Force was highlighted at the closing ceremony. New equipment were presented to the Gambia Police Force and certificates to 120 participants, symbolizing the continued collaboration between the two organizations. Sarah Bahtir, Senior Project Coordinator of the German Police Support Team, said that they are emphasizing how committed they are in doing their best together to support the Gambia Police Force and in its capacity building and strengthening.
Each of these individual modules are groundbreaking and will change the future of the GPF. I truly believe that. This will not only lead to changes within the GPF, but will also able to noticeable for the community and the Gambian citizens, for our sisters and brothers, your fathers and mothers, your daughters and sons, and your friends. Whether they are driving on the highway with so many new challenges, whether they are victims of violent offenses, or they need the help of a police officer, or even want to become a police officer.
Commissioner Kinkoli of Mobile Traffic Unit assured that his unit benefited from the project, adding that since the inception of the German support team in the Gambia, the support they gave to the mobile traffic unit is indeed very significant.
Just to tell you the data that happened in 2024 from January to date, with the support of the motorbike schools that are provided by the German police and the patrol vehicle, I'll tell you before and then after. Before, in January 2024, only on Batin Harin Highway, we recorded 15 accidents. Out of that 15 accidents, we were able to register 13 fatalities. In February, we registered 13 accidents, out of which 15 fatalities, giving the total figure of 28 deaths on Batin Harin Highway, just a month of January and February. After that significant number of deaths, the senior management of the Gambia Police Force thought it to mitigate. There was this concern where traffic officers were deployed on the highway from Sitting Corner down to the airport junction. And later, with the support of the German support team with the vehicle and motorbike schools, from March to date, we were able to beat down the accidents to 4 deaths. You can see the significance role that the German police teams are playing.
Commissioner of Criminal Record Office, Fakeba Dabo, who represented the IGP, said the training and the donation of material items will enhance the efforts of the Gambia Police Force against crime and criminality.
Among the donated items includes accident backpack, reflective tape, other valuable materials, just to name the few. Will definitely enhance the police capacity in coping to the participants. This is a unique opportunity for you to go through this important training program. Those I encourage you to put the knowledge and skills into good use. Undoubtedly you will do that because the selection criteria was a perfect one. You are the ones looking. Of course there are many other companies. I wish to thank the German police support team in the Gambia and by extension the German government for this valuable support to the Gambia police force.
Reporting for West Coast Radio, I am Abubakar M. Jallow.
Welcome back. Tombong Saidy is my guest this morning. The United Democratic Party is angered by the Gambia Ferry Services decision to end a privilege enjoyed by the country's security forces without discrimination. In a surprise statement published last Friday, the Gambia Ferry Services announced that security personnel are to start paying for the use of ferry services except for soldiers of the Gambia Armed Forces. The management of the ferry services explained that the company faced high operational costs and therefore needed to maximize revenue from ticket sales. So what's the UDP's issue with the decision? Well, Tombong is in charge of the party's media and communications affairs, and he's here to tell us more about the issue. What's your problem with this, Tombong? I mean, the ferry services, they need money, don't they?
Yes, they need money, and they need to cut their operational costs. I think they are grossly overstaffed, and they are mismanaged, and corruption is endemic.
So you don't think the answer to their, money problems is by asking certain sections of the security forces to start paying for ferry services?
What percentage of the security forces, of the police, the immigration, will be using the ferry on a daily basis? How much? I mean, let them tell us. How much do they expect to get from this? It will be less than 0.000%. And the other problem is the discrimination.
Yeah, I was going to say your problem with this decision is not so much, the small number of security personnel.
And the discrimination, because, how can you say the army, only the army? The police, they are in fact the most effective because their daily runs requires them to be crossing the river Gambia, once in a while. For example, if a police officer is to take some suspects from Kuntaur police station to Janjambure Magistrate Court.
That's an area you know
very
well.
Yes. To Janjambure Magistrate Court. When they go to Lamin Koto, they have to pay for them to cross to go on their official duty. It doesn't make sense, And the same thing applies to the prison officers. If they have to transfer prisoners from Mile 2 to Janjambure prisons, they also have to pay to cross the ferry. It doesn't make sense. And is there a budget in these security departments to cover this cost? Besides, in all civilized nations, security officials are allowed to use public transport free of charge, especially in carrying their duties. So it doesn't make sense at all, And the same thing applies to the prison officers. If they have to transfer prisoners from Mile 2 to Janjambure prisons, they also have to pay to cross the ferry. It doesn't make sense. And is there a budget in these security departments to cover this cost? Besides, in all civilized nations, security officials are allowed to use public transport free of charge, especially in carrying their duties. So it doesn't make sense at all, And
the question...
they say the Gambia Armed Forces. ECOMIC is not part of the Gambia Army. So the ECOMIC soldiers also will have to pay when they cross when they use the ferries. I hope they have notified the commander of the ECOMIC forces.
Well, I can see the Gambia Ferry Services coming out with, a rejoinder, maybe clarifying that bit of it as well. Because if it's only members of the Gambian National Army, and not just, because you belong to the National Army, you present yourself at the crossing point and say, well, man soldarla.
Yes.
You have to
have an ID.
In uniform, or you present your
ID. Yeah, but how about the police officer who is on official duty? The police officers and the immigration officers, they are the least paid civil servants. You know, their salaries are less than, most of them, their salaries are less than $2,500. You know, they cannot even meet their domestic responsibilities.
So for you, the way to address the operational cost problems of the Gambia Ferry Service is not by asking other sections of the security services to pay for use of the service, but to cut down on staff.
Yes, let them cut down on the cost. The cost, especially the pilferages of the fuel. I mean, they know how much fuel leakage there is. I mean, people are selling gas oil from the ferries all over the country. You know.
What about the condition of the ferries themselves?
And besides, I mean, in Barrow Banjul, they have only one ferry operating. What's happening to the other ferries? You know, if they had 3 ferries operating, maybe they will have more revenue than they are having right now.
And what about the promise of new ferries?
Yes, I mean, this government is just a joke. Since they came to power, they have not bought a single ferry.
Well, we've been promised 2.
Yeah, 2 when? They will wait until 2026 or 2027.
Why would they wait until 2026?
So that they can influence the election. But they will not be there anyway, because 2026 they'll be out of this place.
No, they'll still be there in 2026. It can only be after 2026.
Yes, when the election comes, Gambians have enough of this government.
Let's talk about other issues. There's COP29 in Azerbaijan, Baku to be precise, and there's also, an emergency summit of the OIC, which we chair, and the Arab League taking place in Saudi Arabia.
These 2 events just goes further to expose how incompetent this government is, and how a joke.
How do you mean incompetent?
And how a joke this government is. President Barrow, he is the chairman of the OIC. As the chairman, an important meeting such as this, discussing the problem of Palestine and Lebanon and Israel, he decides to go to Morocco for a private visit rather than go to Saudi Arabia.
He's on leave.
So what?
And besides, this was called by the Saudi Foreign Ministry.
Yes, but as the chairman, he should be there. Why did he send his foreign minister and others rather than him going there?
And your former party colleague, Mamadou Sabali,
Sabs. Those people cannot substitute his presence there. Because when the head of state meet, it's only the head of state that would be in that room, not Sabali and others.
Well, Tangara will be there representing.
No, he will not be there.
He won't be there?
No way.
Seriously?
No, when head of states meet, it's head of states who are there. I don't know if you can recall, in 2018, the ECOWAS head of state in Ghana, when they were choosing the president of ECOWAS. I mean, Barrow did not go. Fatma Tambajang went, was lobbying for Morikeba Jane to be the president, but she couldn't get into the room with the head of state because she's not a head of state. You know.
What of COP29?
Yeah, COP29 also is another joke. How can you go to COP29 while domestically here you are, bastardizing the environment left, right, and center? I mean, you are de-reserving all the reserve land. I mean, allocating part of the forest and salaji to private individuals.
They've denied that. Even if it's given out, it's a temporary measure. That's what we're told.
Temporary, you cut down trees temporary. So when after 3 months, all those trees will come back up. It's a joke. You know, they gave up, the monkey park. If it was not the pressure of people, the Americans would not have, because all Gambians pressured the Americans, they withdrew. Then the monkey park would have been given to the Americans by now. So going to, and then they went there with a big delegation. All these ministers, Minister of Women's Affairs, and all of them, for what?
Yeah, because the environment affects everybody, Tombong.
Yes, the environment affects
Even
everybody.
persons with disabilities should have been there.
Yes, the environment affects everybody. But you saw by example. You cannot go there begging, asking for assistance, while domestically you are doing everything to damage the environment.
Let's talk about another issue that was first brought to this program by one of your MPs, the Banjul North MP, this issue of labor agreement, migrant work agreements with Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and the Spain, particularly the Spain. Now we hear there's so much pressure now on the Gambia Immigration Department for passports. I mean, based on reports we are getting, you know, I mean, how do you see the handling?
The handling of this thing just goes again to shows how corrupt this government is. They selected their own people, now they are denying it to do the recruitment. And people are being charged, poor Gambians are being charged $50,000, $40,000 to be registered to go to Spain to work in a farm, you know. I mean,
for something that's meant to be free.
Yes, for something that's meant to be free. It went so bad that the Spanish government had to write, you know, to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to, you know, because of all the negative press, I mean, coming out of this thing. You know, it doesn't make sense, you know. I mean, this just shows how incompetent this government is. They cannot provide jobs for their people. They would rather export them to be farm workers and mates and in these other countries.
Okay, they cannot create jobs, possibly perhaps locally, but they could say, well, we are creating job opportunities, and it doesn't matter where one finds work. I mean, people are migrating to America, the UK, everywhere to work and send money back.
People are migrating.
So this is an opportunity.
It's good. People are migrating. That is good. But prepare your people. You know, I mean, empower the education, improve the education system, so that we can export professionals. You know, because that's what would make a difference. You have professional ITs, professional engineers. You export them to other countries, just like India and other countries are benefiting. For example, Brazil is benefiting from football, professional footballers they have, you know. But sending, like they're trying to use this as a political tool, because they've already politicized it, to just, I mean, take the rank and file and just send them to Spain for work. And the dangerous thing is, even if it succeeds, it will fail because the majority of the people going, they are being told, don't worry, when you go, you can find your way. So just pay 50,000.
Seriously?
So when those people go, more than half of them will disappear. And then this thing will be stopped. Because they're not vetting them. They're not, I mean, preparing them well for this thing.
Well, I should be hosting the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Trade tomorrow on this issue. I'm sure he will have a response to all these allegations. We were just listening to Jobs there before we started our
conversation. It's not only allegation. I have receipts. I'll give it to you so that you can show it to him.
You have receipts?
Yes, somebody who has paid and is given a receipt.
Oh, wow.
You know? So it's not only an allegation.
That will help.
You know?
That will really help.
You know? I mean, it's serious. This government, Barrow said it in the beginning. Mune mom munut du politician. Ku munut bawul nak lu yahu yow la. I think he should just quit. He has been there. This is his last term. Let him quit and allow people who can run this country properly to.
You may be about to open a Pandora's box. Bam ne munut dafa wéeru ci bayam ci politique.
Waaw
ki nga xam ne moo jiite sa part.
Waaye bi mu demee ba toog mu weex a baayam. weex ko si biti.
non nañ bàyyi bii.
waaw
di waxtaani boppam la su neexee yàlla dinañ seexaat waxtaan bi nii.
No man, okay, what I want to say here now is to urge the Minister of Interior to prevail on the ferry services, because this will affect the operation of security forces under his ministry, because most of the security forces are under the Ministry of Interior. It will also affect GRA, the customs officers, you know. So they need to look at this policy again, because forcing the police officers, the PIU officers to pay to cross the ferry, I mean, will affect their operation. Besides, these are the, I mean, poorest civil servants you have, and they are the one that are securing ensuring our security, you know. So it doesn't make sense.
Well, you know, I mean, if it's because of the poverty of the civil servants, I mean, nurses.
No.
They claim the same thing.
No,
Teachers.
No, but it's
same.
different. It's different because the security force, their operations ensures our security, all of us. So they move all the time. They move as necessary to make sure that any danger anywhere, it's quelled. So, and this has been here since Jawara. Jame until now. Why now? Why do they have to ask them to pay now? And what percentage of revenue would they gain from that? It doesn't make sense.
One thing I must ask you about, it's already 9 o'clock, we should be leaving the studio for the next program, has to be the 2024 draft constitution. For once, there was a demonstration held that was not directly linked to UDP. Usually when you have these things, everybody who is part of that is dismissed as UDP. The Coalition of Progressive Gambians, lodged a petition with the National Assembly last week to try to stop the 2024 draft in favor of the 2020. But of course, the first reading will be, done in Parliament very soon. Where do you think all this will take us? Because we are supposed to be building up to a referendum, hopefully to get to the 2026 elections with a new constitution.
We will not have a new constitution. And Barrow doesn't even want a new constitution. That's why he came up with a cabinet constitution that he knows will be rejected, and he's presenting it. Because he would rather...
Why would he want to do that?
Because he would rather stay with the 1997 constitution that allows a simple majority to be elected as president. That way, he can even get 27% of the votes and become the president of the country. Because with the new constitution, there's a 50+1 requirement.
Threshold, yes.
Yes. So he wouldn't want that. Because, he wouldn't want to go to for a second round.
Which raises the question again. The UDP argues that it is not only the biggest opposition party, it is the biggest party in the country, hands down. So why would Barrow, win with 25%? Whatever percentage he has, you
understand.
You should be able to outperform him.
Being the biggest political party in the country doesn't make you the majority of voters. There is 35 to 40% of voters who do not belong to any party. The UDP might have maybe 25% of the votes, but then Barrow maybe around 15, 18, then you have the other parties. But there's a big chunk of 35 to 40% of voters who do not belong to any party. So, UDP might be the biggest party, but UDP's supporters only cannot make you win the election. You need to get support from the independent voters and also from other parties. Yeah.
And is the UDP working towards that?
UDP has an open door policy, and UDP has always willing to work with anybody as long as it's for the interest of the country. They did that during the NAT agreement, which failed later, and even the 2016 coalition.
All right. Tombong, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you, Peter, and thank you to all your listeners and your viewers.
Tombong Saidy, yes, finally we are able to say that viewers. There was a time when people come like, good morning, viewers. We would say no. It's audio only.
Yeah, because you don't have a license to broadcast. So maybe one day when the Pura said, look, close your station, you just continue with your viewers.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
They pushed us there.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Pura, and the Information Minister for finally pushing us to, YouTube and Facebook. And as I said, we will continue to develop them to this. Sorry.
Your clips on TikTok.
I'm not even aware. Actually, my daughter is behind all these things, Therese. So,
well, they are the new generation. They are the social media generation.
Yeah, absolutely. So well done, Therese. And that's it. I'll be back tomorrow, and as already flagged, the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Employment will be in the studio to talk about the labor MOUs with Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Spain. We will have DT Associates from 8:30. The Minister of Information will also be here. So a very busy program tomorrow. We start at 8, and that's why we will go on till 10 o'clock. Thank you very much for the pleasure of your company this morning.